Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tati. I'm an astrologer and I make videos on astrology, self-growth, self-care, self-love. So if that interests you, please continue watching, please subscribe. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I use astrology for my business and how I incorporate that into my branding, business, and my brand strategy work. So if that interests you, please follow along. I am really excited to delve into this because I don't think a lot of people use astrology for their business, but I feel it's helped me so much in understanding my own business journey and my perspective and how it's helped me grow and connect to more people and more clients and get more aligned leads as well. So I'm going to be talking about some of the points I look at in a chart, in someone's birth chart, but I also want to share that if you have a business, you also have a birth chart for your business. And I think this is so important because oftentimes we don't think of a business or a country or an establishment having a birth chart, right? Because we think of them as non-living entities. However, you still have an energy for your business and therefore it gets a birth chart, right? So oftentimes a lot of people ask me, how do you determine when that specific time is your business birth chart? And that is really up to the client. I think for myself, it really is that public announcement out into that world of, hey, I'm launching this and this is the time of the launch. So I use that in terms of my own personal business birth charts. And when I look at clients' birth charts, that's when I kind of go into it and I'm like, okay, this is the business birth chart, and we can read more into it, and then we can determine more launch dates for specific projects or specific things. There's a lot of key factors to determine if you want to kind of determine when to launch a business as well. I go really in depth in this with my clients because I want to get to know a client first before we get to really launch their business and determine the business birth chart. Let's look at your chart for your business, okay? What does this mean, right? So I want to first explain that this might look a bit differently if you don't have your own business, if you're just looking at your career sector. And there's a few places you can kind of understand what is happening in your career sector. The 10th house is a place I love to look at for your legacy, for your reputation, how people perceive you. And I really see this as a very key component in looking at your own business, but also if you're working for someone else, how other people see you at work, how you can best advance in your career in terms of your business too. But oftentimes when we think of work, we also think of the day-to-day routine and what we do every day in terms of our work. So that you would look at your 6th house, and this plays a very key component of who are your coworkers, who do you speak to daily, who are the people who support you in terms of your daily work, and how can you best utilize your daily routines for your work so that it seems natural, that it seems like an easy flow of energy. And I think this is so important to consider. So having placements in the 6th house can really help with that, or it can help you determine what to use in that energy. So when I make business birth charts, I really look into the midheaven and what the midheaven is saying. So I really want to time business birth charts to a midheaven that makes sense for a client's values, for a client's own birth chart. And I really want to help them nurture this so that they can understand any potential strengths of their business and any potential challenges for their business, right? Because no chart is, I would say, perfect, because there's no perfect person, right? There's no perfect place. But if you can determine a chart and you can understand what are the challenges that you're going to have to face and you're okay with those challenges, that's when things get a bit easier, when things can feel more in flow, when you get more motivated for your business, right? So that's what I really love to kind of determine for my clients, for business strategy, for brand strategy work, because I often look at designing their brand based on their midheaven, but also what is happening in terms of their Venus sign, what is happening in terms of their rising sign. I always do a birth chart reading for a client now, because then I can really understand them as a person, and I will understand what they value and what they're looking for in terms of their brand, right? And how this may evolve over time too, right? So having the flexibility of determining this can really, really help a business grow and develop and attract new clients and attract new leads. So I think that's super, super important to consider. So a lot of people ask me, like, for certain transits, do I look at a business birth chart or do I look at my own personal birth chart? And I think it really, really depends, right? If you have a mass company and you have like 500 employees and there's a lot happening, I would say to look at a business birth chart first, because that will really help you understand what is happening in your business. However, if you are your business, if you are the primary person working on your business, I would always say to look at your own chart and the transits that are happening in your own birth chart before looking at a business birth chart. It's always good to look at both, but sometimes we don't have that time and we want to just really focus on what is currently happening for us. So that is my recommendation, to first really understand your own birth chart in terms of your career, your public image, what you value. It's super important, and how you work, right? That's your Mars sign, because that's going to help you determine, okay, this is what I need to put out there. This is a good time to put myself out there. So you look at your transit chart for that. So if you don't know what a transit chart is, it is how the current planets are interacting with your birth chart. So there's an overlay on that, and I'll show an example here of how a transit chart would look like, and it will kind of tell you, okay, this is what's happening right now at this current moment, and this is my birth chart, and this is the insight I'm gathering, or this is what I didn't expect, or this is my blind spot, or this is what the challenge is, or this is where I should launch because it's such a great opportunity. I feel like this push to put work out there, right? So there's so much to look into with transit charts, with birth charts, and then there's solar return charts, which are basically your birthday reading. And I do offer solar return readings, so you can check out the link for that down below. But that kind of gives you a sense of what to get excited about for your year ahead, and understanding what the energy of the year will hold and what you're learning that year. And I'm always so excited to do birthday readings, because it gets people thinking about how to plan for their year ahead, what they want to accomplish that year, or what they just want to appreciate more that year too, right? And what their main focus is. What's important to note about business birth charts is that astrology, there's still room for error, but if you can understand more so your blind spots in your business, that is so invaluable, because then you can really, really understand where to put your focus and where to put your energy, right? So there's so many things in a birth chart that can help you with this, and where you can see abundance in your life. And I've been doing more work on where to see abundance in terms of your birth chart, so go check out another video on that. If I haven't released it, I will soon, on how to find it. The reason why I love working with astrology for my business is because then I get to understand it from so many angles, from so many different perspectives. My background is in graphic design, so a lot of my work is branding. So I have that experience, and that's where I work with clients one-on-one with, where I design their brand based on their birth chart. And we can really explore how other people see them, how other people perceive them, but also what the tone of their brand is, their personal brand is, because then I can understand, okay, this is how other people see them, but this is also how they see themselves too. And the sun sign is a really great factor for that. Also your Venus sign and your rising sign, your midheaven. It would have to be a combination of so many placements, but you also have to consider aspects to the planets. You also have to consider what the conversation between these planets are and what the main focus should be based on this. And this is why I go really, really in depth with my branding clients, because then I can really help them understand their chart in terms of their career and business. And I help them launch their brands to the public where they're happy with it, where they're like, oh my God, this is my energy, this is me, this makes me feel excited. So I always want to give that to my clients, because then they feel more themselves, they feel more confident within themselves to really portray their business, and then they feel more professional, they feel like they have a better reputation. And this is why I love using astrology for my business and for my brand strategy as well. So I then work with clients one-on-one to really understand each month, okay, this is what's happening in the sky this month, and this is how it's impacting you specifically. And these are some really good dates to launch a new product, or how to launch a new offering, or when to be more public with their social media. And even though it's great to be consistent, it can be really, really difficult to do that in the beginning. So I really, really want to help clients to see, okay, these are some really, really great dates to put out work, to be seen. So just an overview, some of the ways I use astrology for my business, through my branding work and my brand strategy work, is through the midheaven, looking at the midheaven, looking at your 10th house, looking at your 6th house, look at your Jupiter sign also for expansion and what that means to you, but also look at where your sun is, right? Because that is your identity and your sense of self. And look at your rising sign, look at your chart ruler. There's so many aspects to look at. I think that's really, really important to consider, because then you can really understand, okay, what is this main story behind everything? What is tying everything together? And when you get to see patterns in a birth chart, that's when you get to really realize, okay, this is the story behind the brand, and this is the story behind that person's life and the legacy they're leaving behind too. So I hope this helps. Let me know if this was interesting for you, if this was helpful, if I should do a second video, and if you would like help in developing your business using astrology, and you want help with your branding work using astrology, you can send me a message and work with me one-on-one, and I'm happy to help with that. You can also see my portfolio for more examples of that, if that helps. But thank you so much for watching. And if you would just like a one-on-one birth chart reading with me, the link for that is down below as well. And if you would just like to join a very welcoming, loving, supportive Patreon community, I have the Moon Sign Creative Community, and we do new moon and full moon events. And those are super fun. We get to really understand what's happening for you based on the current transits. So go check that out. The link for that is down below. We're happy to have you. If you just want to make new friends and share what you're going through, we're here for you. Let me know which video you'd like to see next. And just know that the universe has your back. And with peace and love, take care.